WandaVision has been, in my opinion, an amazing program. Its start has been very impressive, with episodes 1 and 2 being released simultaneously and allowing the audience to kind of catch up with the idea of where this show is coming from. And yet, there's still a lot of confusion. There are a lot of things that we can talk about today, and I brought in a very special guest to talk with me about some of the things we speculate are happening behind the scenes and why we both believe you're being introduced to the multiverse of madness.
Ladies and gentlemen, hiss and foes, welcome to the Culture Casino.
Joining me today is Fat Steven Seagal, the very talented memer, the very inspirational assistant to La Reina Creole, and a content creator himself. He does a lot of video gaming and things like that on his channel, and he supports a lot of other people in the community. So thank you for joining me today, Steven.
1 second. I think I'm still muted. Okay, no. Hi, how you doing? I just got in from the fat multiverse, and it's still fat and still full of gluten, so I'm kind of happy today. How are you, Culture?
I'm very well, and I'm glad that you're sated at this point in time. That's good news. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to speculate on. I'm very excited. This show tickled my fancy in a way that it hasn't been tickled in a while. There's a lot in it. I can see why a lot of people would be disconnected from it. And it's going to be one of those shows you either love or hate. But from a purely, comic book point of view, I think this is getting it right. And I think it directly is not only just the multiverse of madness, but I think it's going to feed very well into the Doctor Strange film. So what do you think?
I think the way they're doing the delivery is they've kept it mysterious, because when it comes to the multiverse, especially in the Marvel universe, or even if it's DC, it's kind of like a niche thing. A lot of people don't know much about it unless you've read a lot of the comics. You've gone like deep diving into everything that can be attached to it, how characters have changed, what Earths are what Earths, and how it's all evolved and de-evolved. So I think it's going to what's the word I'm looking for? It's going to excite a lot of comic book fans in a way if they give it a chance, but at the same time, people who are unaware, it's going to make them want to be more aware. It has that undertone of not just panic, but excitement.
No, I agree with you. I think it's going to build upon itself in a way that a lot of television programming hasn't done in a very long time. An overall story arc that feeds into something else it's been a long time since we've seen something like this. So this is very, very exciting. And for fun, what I want to do is do a real quick review, and then we're going to dive into some of the stuff that people aren't maybe aware of, what the acronyms mean, and all those other things. So very quickly, just your summation in just a couple of minutes here. What's your review of the first 2 episodes?
Oh, sorry, I was just finishing up another one of my deep dive research. But the way I've watched the episodes, I've watched them probably 6 or 7 times, both of them, and then maybe 20 times per trailer afterwards to find all the Easter eggs. It tickles my fancy. It makes me give hope that the MCU is trying something. Like, they're not trying to stick with one storyline like we got when the Avengers in the first MCU. The MCU phases came out, and it's saying, hey, we got a lot more stories, and we're going to do these stories as best as possible. And they're doing it right. I am excited. It's given me, when you're excited when you're a kid, when you first get Christmas and you see all those presents and you have that drive to open up every present.
Yeah.
These 2 episodes have given me the same type of drive to open up these universe presents and find all the connections. Even if they're not going to be stories, they still show respect and ambience towards all of it, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, I think that's a great summation of the first 2 episodes. I'm actually enjoying it. I gave it a solid 4.5 stars out of 5 the other day, and I'm sticking with that. There's a lot there. The more times you watch it, the more little nuance that you find. Even in the trailer that we're going to discover later in this conversation, there's a lot revealed, and it gives us some insight into what we're dealing with and why, and what influences, what comics we're actually maybe exploring. Because because there's a lot. I mean, Kevin Feige and the people that put this show together, they really did some homework, in my opinion, and I think you agree. So, but overall, I think this is gonna feed into the MCU in a different way. I think they've changed, they flipped the script on the way television's being made, and I think this is a great opportunity for them. So,
I agree.
I get. No, you're fine. I tell you what, let's dive into some theory, because now you've gotten our reviews. We both think the show's very good. We think it's doing something unique. It's very unique. But let's dive into some theories and see where we are now. Steven is an excellent researcher, somebody who will point out and find things, and he's going to be sharing images with us, and we're going to talk about them. So, first and foremost, well, let's get started.
There is one theory I want to break off, because there is no real imagery I can actually show or share. But what it feels like is, it's been kind of speculated that the whole MCU, when it came to the Marvel universe of the films, this is Earth 1999. I don't know if I'm forgetting a 9.
I think you're right. Yeah.
But what I think Feige is trying to do is take this, and the first Earth they're really focusing on is 616, because it has the most similarities. And from there, they're going to make the MCU, the Marvel comic universe, to the best of their ability. And it excites me. I know they don't have all the properties, but there's so much. I'm excited. I feel like a kid at a candy store when I'm watching this stuff and searching. But
and I think it also, because of what you're saying, and I tend to agree with you. I think it's going to make it so you can introduce the other things that didn't exist in the Marvel comics the way that they do in the books, because they were limited. They didn't own Fantastic Four. They didn't own the X-Men. They didn't own those things, and so now, I mean, they have the opportunity to bring all of these properties fully in. And perhaps maybe even expand upon it, like with Spider-Man and a multiverse of Spider-Man, right?
Well,
so let's dive right in, Stephen, and take a look at some imagery, and we'll talk about it, because I think you're onto something, and it feeds right into what I'm thinking.
All right, then the first one I'm going to probably go with, once I get it up here for you to share, is going to be probably the closest to the intro I want to start with. I'm having a little bit of boomer issues with trying to share. But here we go. If you need it bigger or smaller, let me know. That's the wrong one.
This should be fantastic. All right, let's go. What are we looking at so that people understand?
All right. Well, the first thing is, everyone remembers the opening scene. Who has seen it? It's usually Vision and Wanda pulling up the car. You got Vision hiding his face from the hat when they're waving to him, and then they pull in. It shows them all happy-go-lucky, cars parked, and it shows the for sale sign of the property just popped. The first thing you're going to see is Hopkins. My first realization after doing a little bit of digging is, again, with the Earth 616, Fred Hopkins, which makes sense. The second thing is the 732 area code, New Jersey, which has a lot of connections, because a lot of people speculate that I think Eastview and Westview are kind of like the fictional Jersey in the MCU or the Marvel comic universe. And then I tried to pop that in with the other relations to Marvel universe, and I'm going to zoom in quickly right here, because I'm using the boomer tech of the century right here, where it has New Jersey, and literally we're getting actual quotes from not only Black Widow but Steve Rogers himself. My fiance was just helping me with some honeymoon destinations. Right, we're getting married. Congratulations. Where are you guys thinking about going? New Jersey.
There you go.
And there's the
absolutely. And I think that's exactly right. And it wouldn't surprise me if that's where we're going to be, because I do believe you're correct in that, Jersey locations are often referred to as Eastview and Westview in Marvel Comics. So it's fascinating and probably fairly accurate. Again, there's all these little homages here, and this is just the beginning. So yeah,
I'm hoping that in later episodes, if they are going down that road, that we will see them through the city. I'm trying to see if there's going to be a Smithville bank anywhere, just in case.
Wow, there might be. We haven't seen the town yet, but I think we're probably going to very soon.
Yeah, it's weird because you see more of the neighborhood than you do the town, but when you're watching some of the other trailers, it does show Vision riding a bike with Wanda through the city, and you start seeing more. So I'm excited. This is pretty much what I have. And I'll even put little notes for the viewers later on.
Wow.
as you can see, this is this is the cute little lovey-dovey stuff you can see with the indestructible head, the flying saucers quote with the plate smashing, them trying to figure out the day with the heart. But what I was branching into in general was oh crap. First of all, was the newspaper. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll get to see that later.
Yeah.
But the newspaper, and here
Yeah.
we see the TV ad, right? No one really forgets about. There's also the lobster that we'll see later on the door.
Right.
But this is the ad we see. We see the same ad on the calendar, pretty much. But
Right.
the only difference is there's a kid.
Yeah.
But above the kid, people don't really realize is there's 3 butterflies. I'll get into that later.
Yeah. Those old-fashioned metal butterflies, right?
Yeah. And it's still blurry because I don't know what it is, but that says Westview. It's really heavy right now that they're in Westview. I think it's both Westview and Eastview. My English is dead today. And this is also another thing I found weird is there's a lot of sayings when it comes to For the Children. They also have a talent show within the second episode that says For the Children, but we don't really, we don't see any children hardly at all. We really don't see any children in this show unless you go back to the trailers during like the Halloween scene, and I'll bring a screenshot of that later. But there is children. There's one on the newspaper, which I had to flip it upside down, and then the second child is on the couch. So why is this ad different?
I wonder. Well, I mean, the TV is covering the location where the child would be and the butterflies would be. To be honest with you, in that shot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's intriguing. But again, I mean, there's a lot going on, in this just these few scenes, including, as you've pointed out, and I'm sure you're going to refer to the actual newspaper picture itself on the front page.
You mean the ladies right here, the lady and the child right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a weird inclination because there's a rhyme on there, and you have to be very careful trying to get it because when it comes to screenshotting, it can be a pain in the butt. And my circle kind of covered it, but I'm gonna bring it up here and kind of try to record what it says. But it says, baby June, first words tickle Mother Sue, and the only thing when I can associate when it comes to Sue is Susan Storm from the Fantastic Four, because I don't really remember much Sues within the Marvel Universe, and that sounds kind of like they're doing a slight homage or hint towards Fantastic Four, or at least a member of that team, because it has been said, and even in the Spider-Man movies where it shows the ending credits, a Fantastic Four Easter egg as well. So I'm beginning to think they're trying to attach everything, because if they're going down a multiverse road, they have the ability to not bring in the original Fantastic Four. They can bring up any variation from any other multiverse.
Yeah, I know, and that's going to be very unique and awesome. I'm right there with you on a lot of this stuff. But it's very easy to stretch during shows like this too. But why would you go to all this effort to reproduce this paper the way it was? Because a props master, somebody like that would have just produced a generic headline and things like that. And it possibly, I mean, if you look at where his finger is, does that picture possibly even Dick Van Dyke? Or is it possibly someone in the Marvel universe? I mean, we can't get a clear image of it, but I mean,
it looks like Dick. It does. If you look at the chin, if you honestly look at the chin, and it looks like he's smiling. If you've seen stuff like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang and other movies where he's in, when he smiles and his chin shapes, it's a prominent thing if you can remember pretty well, and it does remind me of Dick. So it could be that light homage at the same time. And I had a weird secondary thought that maybe that's Dr. List. That's way off.
Possibly,
right?
But yeah, or it could be. I mean, it could be any number of people, but I think it's interesting. Again, this was intentionally put there. Again, you have to consider Feige inserts things in every single element of every frame of everything. I mean, the props are thought out to the nth degree. Billboards in the background of Avengers and films like that are thought out in detail. And there's a reason for that. Even, for example, in the first episode, we watch a commercial about making toast.
Oh, the Stark toaster. Yeah, I don't have an image of that, so I'll leave this up. But and people were also bringing it up. I've seen on other shows is the red blinking light.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Red blinking light could significant well the her having a panic attack when her and her brother were trapped with the bomb. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it could also mean the battery's dying out on a camcorder that's recording. Because
Well, or it could just be a red light. And but what was interesting is when he depressed the button, that sounded like a unique sound, a very stark sound
oh yeah,
when they were making the toast. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this. And again, we're talking down to the detail. If people are wondering why this show cost as much as it did per episode, 25 million per episode, guys.
are you kidding?
No, this is the most expensive television program to date.
They went all in.
They went all in on everything. I mean, this reality is really impressive. So, but let's move forward. I'm sure everybody's
All right.
tired of this frame. I know we've got a lot to share. Yeah, I loved this. This was the best compilation I think you put together, and it feeds right into it. So let's explain to everybody what they're looking at, so they get it.
All right. Well, the lady on the right is Layla Miller. Also comes from the House of M storylines. She is also known as Butterfly, if I remember correctly. She used to have horns. She used to breathe fire. When I was doing my research about butterflies, she was the first who popped up with the Marvel Universe. The same time, this same butterfly was already in Doctor Strange when the Ancient One flicked his head into the astral plane, as you can see by the first image above. Later on, when you're watching, say, the trailer after the first two episodes where it's doing like, hey, this is what you're going to expect, because it's only 9 episodes long, you have that, I forget what that baby toy is called, the dial.
The mobile?
The mobile, right? And it's stationary butterflies, right? But then all of a sudden it breaks off, and there we go again. We have some monarch butterflies. The same type of butterflies that was on the calendar that I didn't see the first time.
Interesting. Intriguing.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, the thing is Wanda Maximoff has the ability to create things out of nothing. She is incredibly powerful. We'll probably talk about that towards the end, but this again, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you are literally tying all of these characters, all of these different stories together with Earth 616. So
at the same time, Layla Miller is also immune to most of Wanda's powers, from my understanding. And if rumors are true about the Daredevil stuff, Layla Miller spent most of her life in Hell's Kitchen. And that's pretty much where Daredevil has been set up, especially when it came to the Netflix series. I know they're not associated, but even in the comics,
technically they are. They all fall under the Marvel Studios banner, and they were all produced under the guidance of Marvel Studios. So yeah, I mean, so Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, obviously the Punisher, which apparently people are trying to cancel right now for whatever reason.
Maybe the Huggisher.
I don't think we need to go into that. But all of these characters that come out of Hell's Kitchen, none is more recognizable, maybe the Punisher, than Daredevil. So yeah, and Hell's Kitchen is an interesting thing in the Marvel universe, guys. And there's a little bit of super in the superheroes, but those people are mostly normal. So yeah, this is some cool stuff. So
I look at Daredevil pretty much the same way people look at Batman. Sure, he's blind, but he's still human at the end of the day, and he's still only fighting with his strength and his senses. So in a way, yeah, it has me excited because it brings into the House of M stuff again, because there are actual other imageries where she does have an M over one of her eyes. So they're pulling a lot from House of M, but they're not trying to dwell on it, because still mutants don't technically exist yet, especially with Marvel.
Well, again, we're dealing in a multiverse. So, if we're having simultaneous connections between different universes, we could have mutants. We don't know. So
because especially with House of M, I believe it's called The Worst Day in Mutant Kind. Wanda had the ability to she has the ability to annihilate 91.2% of the human X gene in the race of all of the world. She also has the ability to make that gene create. So they could be doing a reversal, and her actual, if she is having spasms or whatever kind of freakouts emotionally and her powers are out of control, she could be literally creating mutants without knowing it across the multiverse, if you want to go that far.
Well, and including our world. I mean,
Yeah.
consider this. I mean, as far as the way the Marvel Cinematic Universe is spelled out through the Disney company, you had Hulk.
You had Hulk. Yeah, that's a good segue. This one blew my mind.
Yeah.
On the right, if I should have put the image reversed, but it does look like Hulk. It really looks like Hulk standing there.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
really does.
And I have speculated from the very beginning that we were going to get to see Hulkling because Hulkling factors into Wanda's world, especially in the newer comics. But so it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't
And,
surprise me at all.
and the right one, I'm gonna have to zoom in on this. I had speculation first it was going to be Star Lord, but now I'm hankering more to Ant-Man
Mhm.
due to other things we've discussed in the future. But if you look very, very closely, very, very closely, you notice something right here,
Mhm.
the red. Not
Yeah.
many of the people we've been introduced in the MCU have a red glow or tinted helmet or mask that we know of. So the only people I can think of is either Star Lord or Ant Man,
Right.
and I'm beginning
Right.
to think it's Ant Man.
Well, possibly. Now, if you were thinking back on things, who would want to have more of a greater connection with? Would it be Star Lord or would it be Ant Man?
It would be Ant Man because this also falls back to my previous thing where I was talking when we had the Layla Miller image up, right? How Doctor Strange was flicked
Hmm.
through the astral plane, right?
Hmm.
There is actually a slight scene, and I've been trying to find it, where the rumors are he was also thrown through the quantum realm at a split second, and it shows like a part of it in one of those flashy scenes. And the only other person who's dealt with the quantum realm has been Henry Pym or Hank Pym. We can add that later. His wife, who was lost in there,
Hmm.
Wasp, but
Right.
most especially Ant Man.
Right.
So they've all had, even if it's like a quantum attachment
Hmm.
through Doctor Strange, that's where they're bringing it in.
Well, I mean, the quantum realm, only a few beings have been there in our version of the MCU. So yeah, this is cool. It's hard to argue. It's hard to argue, especially with the red light visor. So
And the one more thing, even if it's not the quantum realm, this honestly, you see how the spikes are popping up here. It gives, for some reason, I kept going back to trying to find images that would match Titan, which is literally where Star Lord, if it was Star Lord and all them, were fighting Thanos, his
yeah.
home planet that was destroyed, and that kind of looks like kind of the destroyed wreckage you would see
Now,
from that planet.
now, now, there have been theories, and these I think are equally viable, that we are seeing distortions and things like this because Wanda's actually attached to a virtual device, and there's a Fresnel lens that actually creates these optical distortions that she's looking at. And sometimes, in that virtual environment, she's seeing beyond. Uh, to what's beyond. And I'm sure that we'll probably bump into some more images going forward for that too.
Oh, most definitely. If you want to make it a little bit more simpler, I can kind of relate it to when let's go back to Empire Strikes Back, where
Mhm.
Yoda's trading on Dagobah Luke, right? Remember when he's
Mhm.
standing on his one hand trying to raise the rocks,
Yeah.
and you can see the past, you can see the future, and when you start seeing Han and Leia, this is kind of like the same type of pretense the way I'm looking at it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, we have a lot of these images that we've pulled out, or in this case, Steven has pulled out of the show and out of the trailers. And one of the most unique ones, I think, comes at the very end of the first episode, I
Oh, the
think.
very end.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the monitor?
I am, right? When it went from 4:3 format to
Mm-hmm.
16:9, because that's when it changed. And it was a very unique way to show the show. But here it is. So
Mm-hmm.
we're looking at a couple of different images here. One of them, obviously in the top, that's Darcy, right?
I believe so, and it looks like
Yeah.
it's the same hand. Like if the skin complexion color itself matches it, so I'm pretty guessing. I'm thinking this is some kind of sword outpost or monitoring station, and
Mhm.
they're outside monitoring whatever's going on. And I have to. This will show up on the screen still in state, but I have to bring up the theory that I brought up to you yesterday, and it's gonna
Sure.
just give me a second
Yeah, you
because
bet.
I don't have it on a piece of paper. But the
Yeah.
way I'm summing up what this series is because it
Mhm.
seems short. for only going to be 9 episodes.
Mhm.
But my guess is Sword is monitoring AIM. AIM,
Yeah.
who has Wanda somewhere or somehow.
Mhm.
When you see the manhole cover scenes, which I'll bring up in later images,
Mhm.
I believe that's like a crack in the facility or a crack in wherever this event is
It's
going
it's
on, and
it's
the
the
only way
back
in.
door. It's the
Yeah,
back door access to the
yeah.
simulation, right?
And that's the only way to get to her physically, because
Mhm.
you see like the references of like the radio switching to someone going, "What have they done to you? What are they doing to you?"
Mhm. Mhm.
But when Wanda realizes that there's some kind of outside penetration of whatever's going on, that's when everything rewinds. And I think that's AIM rewinding. I think Sword is sitting there monitoring what AIM is doing, but they have no absolute control. They can only rewind what they're watching, not
Right.
what's going on in real time.
Right.
Um, the same with the armored trucks. When those armored trucks in that one scene, especially at the end of episode 2, where they're trying to give you the preview of what's
Mhm.
happening, it looks like there's something, like it's hitting that high precipice of what the series is trying to show. And there's panic in their faces. There's panic in the whole thing because it looks devastating. So
Mhm.
that's my thing. That's one of my guesses. I don't think she's warping realities. I think there is, like, let's say an event bubble going on,
Mhm.
and it is multiverses at that point of the event horizon
Mhm.
fluctuating out.
It's quite possible. Again, my thoughts are that they're trying to bring her back from some place, like
Yeah.
from a bad place in her mind. An onset of a coma or a disconnection from reality. Right? It's that kind of an event.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. That could very well be Darcy there, whose hand is on the closing credit scene that we pull back from at the end of the first episode. Now, the imagery around the couple there of Wanda and Vision in that particular shot. That's something that struck me right away as well, which is the hexagonal representation of AIM.
Yeah. I wanted to add to that quickly because this was something that came to me
Yeah.
in the morning. Even if it's not AIM controlling them, that could be just an AIM specific piece of technology. Because this technology that's on, you can see everywhere. It's like generational, like across. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just one set generation of technology. It shows over, like, say, decades. It's different types. So even if it's not AIM controlling them, I'm thinking AIM specific technology is being used to help. But that's a wide speculation from my point of view. But right here is what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But go on. I didn't mean to cut you off. This is
Oh
getting
no,
very
no,
exciting.
I'm happy to be there. It's anything that we can find that we can try to explain some of the things that are in the show. For example, there are multiple emblems on this shot alone that are sword.
Yeah. There's a lot on the book where she's taking notes. That's why I'm thinking it's a monitoring station. We have it on the monitor on the right of the AIM monitor. That's what I'm going to call it. I'm still trying. We're both still trying to figure out if we can get a good representation of that that QR code right here
Mhm.
to get scanned, because I'm betting anything that has something. Rick and Morty did it once, so who else says they won't do it? But go on, you give me your speculation, because I feel like I'm talking a lot.
Oh no, I'm just sitting back and enjoying, because now this is the thing that's going to confuse a lot of people who aren't familiar with the books. They don't understand a lot of these acronyms: AIM, sword, shield. I mean, actually, shield got a show, so maybe people know what shield stands for, what they do. Of course, they were also pretty, you know, important in the overall storytelling of the Avengers saga, right? So but people they don't know that we're maybe going into a more supernatural world, obviously, with Doctor Strange and the multiverse
Hmm.
of madness. And if we do that, we're gonna run into Wand, WAND. I know it sounds weird, but there was an organization called Wand as
Oh yeah.
well in the comic books. So there's a lot of these organizations, and actually, you know what, Stephen, if you want to break down for our viewers, that would be fantastic.
All right. Well, if we're gonna go first,
Yeah.
again, Earth 616 keeps popping, especially with Sword. Sword is
Mhm.
actually the rebuild of Shield after the fall of Shield with the Hydra and all that stuff. So it really means sentient world observation and response department. That's the whole acronym. You don't want to really be that agent Coulson going, "Hi, this is where I'm from," and then read it all. You don't want to do that. So that's what sword means. As for AIM, it is not the AOL Instant Messenger for those who like making jokes later on, because I've heard that joke a bunch of times. But it's called Advanced Idea Mechanics, which also connects to MODOK in a way, because if anyone here remembers when they did the that Patton Oswalt series that's going on, that's very bad. But his henchmen were all those yellow suits, who was eventually bought out by AIM.
Which would explain the beekeeper.
To a point, because that could reference Swarm, or at the same time, they're using the beekeeper suits to disguise themselves to get in to see what's going on.
As agents, so they're not actually agents of AIM, which the yellow suited businessmen, but they're sneaking in that way. Sure, I can buy that as well.
The other thing is, do you remember when there was a secondary AI that infected Vision in one of the comic book lines? And what if this isn't even being controlled by humans in general, but it's an AI facility that's gone haywire that is doing all of this in general, and we're all stuck on the outside?
That would be pretty odd. And
Yeah.
Let me think about that. That might take me a couple weeks to grind on. But again, a lot is going to be revealed in episode 3. I have a feeling that we're going to turn the corner here in a few days, and we're going to be like, oh man, we were either wrong or we were right or we were close, or it's going to be great.
But that's the best part about these types of shows, is you don't have to worry about being wrong or right. It's the fact that you're doing this Easter egg hunt and you're getting joy from it. There's another thing I actually wanted to bring up, and that's the wavelengths here. When I go back to the monitoring here, you see how green here, and it has the bar right ahead. There's still a little bit of space, so it looks like it's kind of safe. That's why I'm saying it's monitoring. And when the red hits, that's when the rewind hits. I'm beginning to think that it's like looking at Star Trek with phasing between timelines. Like, how everyone has a different signature, different resonance. Yeah. When the resonance doesn't match anymore or starts reaching that peak, that's when Wanda swaps. And if it is going through different multiverses, that's when
so they're trying. Yeah, so they're trying to keep Wanda happy. Yep. And at the end of the second episode, she's pregnant, which is a happy event, right?
Yeah, and if you paid attention to the other trailer, it's going to be twins. And if it is twins, it's going to be probably a good reference to, I believe it's called Speed and Wiccan.
Now, remember, one of Wanda's children ends up dating Hulkling in the comic universe. So yeah, we are way down the rabbit hole, kids. But this show seemingly is that broad, and we need to consider everything that's being brought in, because we already knew how sinister both AIM and obviously Hydra are as organizations, but the fact that they were able to infiltrate SHIELD, may explain why we're looking at a lot of sword, right?
Yeah. So, yeah. And this is way out there. I know it's something crazy, but there's our red light again.
Yeah, and it's something that you mentioned before, and we're going to see a lot of red and green, as I think you mentioned in your notes there. But you're going to see a lot of red and green appear in this show in certain ways. Of course, we have that in our normal everyday life. Red and green is go, red is stop, right? But it's very possible that these things mean something as well. But that QR code that you and I talked about, and what's really funny is that Roadcaster that's the QR code's on. I always find that interesting. I'm like, that's a podcasting tool, or something used for broadcast, or sound mixing. So that that's kind of a fun thing, a little thing thrown in there for people like me who like appreciate that kind of tech. But I mean, you're looking at a lot of modern equipment mixed with a lot of old stuff, because there's an old-fashioned jog wheel that's utilized in the show that you would be able to dial up a location in video or whatever, and we don't really use those anymore. We use all digital timing things. We don't really use the jog wheels.
So. Yeah, like honestly, this is the podcaster device you were talking about.
The Roadcaster.
The Roadcaster. But if you look at the bottom, you got the red and greens, and you notice how there's only one red light that's on.
Yeah,
but it has the same wave as the two other waves we were talking about earlier. So
Hmm.
I'm going to do more on this, but it's just, yeah, they have so much just in this. And the fact, I think you're right. I honestly think that, oh my God, I don't know how to explain it, but I'm glad we're on the same way. Now, there's been speculations. People have tried editing these pictures before. They're saying it's actually another variant of Vision in that B suit, even if it is. The one thing that bothers me is when we're doing the first seeing of whoever the beekeeper is. I don't have it on here, but yes, there is a sword logo on the back of the bee suit
Now,
and
is
the manhole cover as well, right?
I think so, but so there's one trailer or something out there on the internet that shows a pretty decent back shot of this person, and it appears like it looks like a sword logo, but there's stars and circles around it.
That's the actual symbol. I believe it does have stars and symbols.
Well, then I'm very impressed. So this person that it's impersonating a beekeeper is actually part of Sword. We are way down the rabbit hole. I mean, it's getting weird, And so, because I would have expected again, but we just talked about this. That the beekeepers represented, AIM, but it could be somebody from Sword that's infiltrated them, and essentially, emblematically, they're representing the Sword logo. It could be because this could all be virtual, and no matter what, I mean, even your best clandestine efforts, or it can be sussed out. So who knows? Who knows?
All right.
Yeah.
As you see here, he's wearing a mask. He's wearing something, and it's either going to be a rebreather, but it also again reminds me again of the Ant-Man helmet, the bottom part, because it's one of those ones that protrude out a bit because
Mhm.
he had. So I'm beginning to think that maybe it's not Vision. It's again someone else piercing the veil of wherever Wanda is, and he's still wearing his quantum suit. That's just a guess. It could be just a rebreather or whatever, but you don't really see it here at all. He's not wearing it, so I
Yeah.
don't know if it's two different people.
Well, it could also be the angle, because again, I mean, consider that suit from that type of an angle wouldn't be showing the defined edges of the mask where that
That
is,
is true
right?
though, but you can see the edge of his nose here, and then it has a dip out. And I don't know anyone who has a bottom lip that high up.
Well, that's true, but it definitely is covering the nose. You
Yeah,
know,
but
could
it's not covering here because you can see the lips, you can see his nose,
it's
and
hard.
and he would have to pull it down somehow. But you never see him do it.
That's difficult. There's
Yeah,
no doubt.
yeah.
All right.
That's just speculation. We'll
Yeah.
move on.
All right. So
Uh,
moving on. Yeah.
This is one people are speculating that she is going to be Agatha Harkness, who also helped, I believe, train Scarlet Witch in a lot of the comic books. And I've been trying to nitpick her whole little brooch here.
Mhm.
And the thing is, people have said it could be the three graces, it could be this or that, but it doesn't look like the three graces statues I've looked up on the internet. It looks like it's another hint at the Reaper thing, which I
Mhm.
will bring up another screenshot later because that definitely looks like the Reaper holding a scythe. You can see right there the ends of the cloak. It looks very similar to the way this is, and
It
it
does.
it really really does. And while we have this on here, I'm going to bring up the fact of
Well,
who she's with.
yeah, it's a reverse image too. I mean, if you think about it, if you reverse those two people in those two different positions, you
Yeah.
know, then you would say, "Wow, that has it's uncanny. It's very uncanny. Look at the way her shirt is, the sweater, how it hangs, the fact that there's a necklace there. There's a necklace on the Reaper. It's interesting.
hmm And before we get into this, if people remember during the first episode where Wanda first meets Agnes,
Hmm.
she's like, she brings up a man named Ralph,
Hmm.
and Ralph has a two Easter egg play. First of all, it could be Ralph from the Honeymooners. The second one is Ralph Macchio, like giving a little salute to Ralph Macchio from Earth 616. That's what they put in the article, and he used to be a writer for Marvel Comics, from my understanding.
Wow.
So that they did it. They really went in deep when it came to this. So from here, we can literally go on and go to the next one, which was what we're referencing Reaper, if people don't know. This was from the episode 2, the intro. The intro had some really cool things in it, which is the Reaper connection, why I think it has more to do with Reaper. When the episode 2 starts, and it's very Bewitched style, you can see in the rafters, which is also a Simpsons kind of thing too, because Simpsons also do this in a couple of their episodes, especially in Tree Houses of Horrors. There's Reaper's helmet, and there's Reaper. You know,
Wow.
there is a lot of similarities. A lot of people found this, and when I'm seeing the webs, for some reason, I'm thinking Spider-Man, but that's just in the back of my head because I'm hoping for it.
Well, hey, well, you have to remember also in Bewitched, they had a spider web in the entry, you know, in the opening credits. So possibly it's Spider-Man. It looks very Spider-Man-y, but it could be, you know, it could just be happenstance. So we'll never know till the end.
I agree. But at the same time, this scythe, if he was holding it over her head, would really match her brooch too, because it has the same kind of jags as well as the cape.
It would.
And the same things like this. So that's another one. I think we're almost done here.
Yeah, cool.
All right. There's one more. This boggles my mind.
Okay. So when I saw this, right, and I can see beyond the wall.
Yeah.
She's literally seeing outside of her own reality. And that's not the only place that she's seeing outside of her own reality, right? So she's seeing you know, computer terminal workstations in that wall with people manning them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But it actually also looks like a mansion off in the distance.
You think so?
If I'm going to look at it, there's all right. Where is it? Here it is. There's the roofs. There's the windows. You got a road right here. And there's hills. Those are clouds. Or
okay.
mountains.
Well, so what you're saying the image is doubling as something else?
Yeah, I didn't see the monitors. I literally saw like it was an abstract painting of a location.
I see. This is just me. And again, you know, we're reading a lot into this, guys, but I think it looks like a monitoring station.
It does?
Yeah.
I didn't see computer terminals.
Okay,
That's so weird.
So if you look just above your arrow to the right, you see the profile of a person and their shoulder, and they're looking at screens at a desk.
Bro, you got better eyes than I do. I didn't even see that. Oh, wait a minute. Wait, are you saying like there's hands right here and here?
Yeah.
Oh, bro, you're gonna mess with my eyes now. Okay, I get what you're saying. I think they double imaged it.
Well, I don't know. And again, it's a lot of speculation, but it's definitely not a wall. So
it's not one of those slide walls others, because they didn't use those really that much. That was more of the Eastern world kind of thing.
Yeah. Yep. And you know what? I mean, I can throw some imagery in there too to follow along those lines, but something is behind the wall or hid it within the wall, or it's you know, it's a virtual, it's an odd thing. It's an odd thing.
And we're almost done. And since you brought that up, this is from the trailer. Just how hollow are the walls, and why are these cords still not attached to anything?
I wonder. I think actually, this is me speculating. Yeah, I mean, you're looking at plenum wrapped wiring. You know, you would not have this. This wouldn't exist in homes that were built in these time periods, right? And the yellow and blue plenum are clearly networking cables of sorts, you know, connectivity cables. And so, yeah, it's fascinating. I mean, you know, it's an illusion. It's fictional. Consider this: they had the same idea when they brought Steve Rogers back from being a capsicle. Right.
Yeah.
Because he was a capsicle, and then they when they unfroze him and put him in that hospital, it was in his era. Everything was dressed in that era.
But wasn't it also in New Jersey when he finally broke through that play setting?
I don't think so. I think he was I think he was in New York City, because didn't he end up in like Times Square?
Oh yeah, my bad.
It's just a thought.
It's probably true too. Bam. Now I want you to take a look at we're going all the way to 2000s. Now I want you to look at the bottom picture first.
All right.
Do you see a Nintendo Wii down there?
I do.
And a talk show and an LED TV?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, and not only that, it's okay. So that's a mid-century table holding a game system and a television, and then in the image above, it's an old-fashioned wire one
Yeah.
from like the late '60s. I think would have been the time frame for that. That's fascinating.
That's literally at point 25 when I was spamming the space bar. That is literally the scene of it changing when I think whoever's in control is doing it. So,
So
the bottom image is first. That
so
is
it,
what it's turning into at the top.
I take it back. So that wire thing was probably the '70s. Or maybe the early 80s, and they've shifted it to the 2000. That's amazing. I see. These are the kinds of details that you're going to have people just scouring for in this show because there's so much to it.
You can all take your references. That's why I left the trailer titles in it, so you guys can all.
And a time code.
Yep, I did. I tried to leave as much in for people to go verify, so I didn't like do anything weird. Now, this is the old school Vision costume.
It is.
This is what is bothering the hell out of me.
Well, it's Halloween, and green and orange are colors of Halloween. Somebody could have a green light there, or it could be a reflection of something in the AR, or something in the VR, or something like that. I mean, we've noticed some blown out colors in different parts of this as well. You point out a lot of flashy reds, flashing red lights and things like that. And this could be just a green light, that means all is well. Right.
But it also falls under the same green of the waveforms when we were looking at the whole monitoring station. That doesn't look like a window. Why would that's the most weirdly random window to have there? And if I was going to go back to the whole 3-color scheme, especially do with the ending credits, we got the green there. We have the 2 blue, which is trying to reform the rectangle, but red's gone. So that means it's somewhat in sync in their balance. That's what I'm guessing.
Again,
it's a poor stretch.
Yeah, it is, and one of the and again, I mean, I'm in an effort to get this wrapped up. This speculation is amazing. The opportunity to sit down and have a conversation about it and to talk about the stuff that's there, with aim and sword and again, I think Wanda is going to be involved in this as well. We certainly will see, but we definitely it wouldn't surprise me if we got to see Swarm, obviously because of the Beekeeper thing. It wouldn't surprise me if we get Reaper. In fact, I'm expecting Reaper at this point now. And I think we're getting introduced to all of these amazing characters, and I think they're going to carry forward because there's other projects that are going to feed into this and from this show that are going to be part of Phase 4. So people are not, I don't think you guys are prepared for what's about to come around the corner, but we will know even more. We will know even more next week after episode 3. So
and I appreciate the time here. I'm going to also give a little snippet for people when they watch this. I want to know. I want to know if that on his chest is a QR code again.
Man, I don't know. I'll try to grab it.
That could be Cobalt Man.
I will try to grab it. But I like how it's just all these different things, including some Disney homages like Tigger there on the right.
And Fat Thor.
Fat Thor.
Fortnite Thor has made an appearance with the Gap sweater.
Oh man. That's so great. Well, thank you for your compulsion in all of your efforts.
Thank you for your disease. I'm glad it benefited the content coming on Wednesday. That's okay. It's good.
No. It's fantastic. Thank you very much for your time as well, Fat Steven. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. I haven't done a video in this format before, and I think everybody's going to appreciate it. We'll get a lot of people that'll comment. I guarantee it because there's other nerdy geek humans out there, like us. So anyway, thank you also very much for joining us today on our speculation and our reviews. The reviews are at the beginning. The speculation comes at the end. What do you think? You think we're remotely close to the right idea? Do you think that this tie means anything at all? This particular design on a tie. Do you think that that this is thinking outside the box? That right now, we have different worlds that mirror each other. What do you think this is? Are we looking at a mirrored representation? Because that's quite possible too. So,
I think it's 2 outside forces outside of a barrier of 2 forces trapped inside.
Yeah, and I think you might. I think you might very well be right. But I look forward to all the comments in the comment section below. Be sure to hit a like here. Make sure you subscribe to Fat Steven Seagal, whoever he's beating up on whatever week it is. But I think it's Fat Steven Seagal Jester or Batman. I don't remember which.
If it's going to be at Twitter, it's at Batman.
Okay.
It's something like that. You'll find me on Twitter. I take up 90% of it. But sub to Culture, he does a lot of work. He needs all the subs he can get because that slow motion hair combing video is coming.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, I cannot wait for the stuff we're doing over on Ord's Boards channel. Be checking out the lunch table over on Lorena's channel. Be sure you check out the Florida Welcome to Florida stream that we do together on Sundays as well. And we'll see you elsewhere because we're everywhere. It seems but we'd be nowhere without you. Ultimately,
and I would like to say also another thing. You can also catch me Tuesdays doing stuff like this, like with pop culture and comics, and we just talk about stuff. Loki's Mornings at Mischief. You can find me there every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. He is a great man, great community, and the Valhalla is rising support.
That's great. No problem. Thank you very much, Stephen. Anyway, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.